Good morning, boys and girls. Today, I'd like to read you another classic Christmas story. How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. He's a grouchy little Grinchy Grinch. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. It's dedicated to Teddy Owens. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Look at that Grinch. Grinchy Grinch. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating those Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging the mistletoe wreath. And they were hanging their stockings. He snarled and sneered, "Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here." Then he growled with his Grinchy fingers nervously drumming, "I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming, for tomorrow," he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush to their toys, and then, oh, the noise, the noise, the noise, the noise. That one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and those Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat. He chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer, the Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. The Grinch is going down to get the Who's and steal Christmas. Let's see what happens. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinch Claus hissed. And he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fists. He's gonna steal all their Christmas toys and decorations. That Grinchy Grinch. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out the fireplace where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first thing to go." He's going to take all of their Christmas decorations. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present: pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkered boards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch was nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed up all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." And the Grinch grabbed the tree and started to shove, when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and saw a small Who, Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied. "There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and he got her a drink and sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls nothing but hooks and some wire, and one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. It was 1/4 dawn, all the who's still in a bed, all the who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. Look at all of those presents and Christmas trees. That Grinchy Grinch. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh, pooh, to the who's, he was inchily humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They'll just wake up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then those who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo! That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then it started to grow. I wonder what the noise is. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came somehow or other. It came just the same. Did the Grinch steal Christmas? It still came. And the Grinch, with his Grinchy feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzled and puzzling. How could it be so? Without ribbons? It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till the puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, the Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew grew 3 sizes that day, and the minute his heart didn't quite feel quite so tight, he whistled with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast feast. Thank you so much for listening to this fun story. I love the Grinch, and I hope you loved it too. Remember, wash your hands. Love you. Bye.